It is Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. It is 10 a.m. sharp. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. Call this meeting to order. I appreciate everybody that's there in person and on Zoom. Can we verify do we need a quorum? Do we have a roll call? I mean, go ahead and take care of that, please.
Yes, we have a quorum.
All right. Thank you. All right. I'll go ahead and go around the room. It's just for some introduction purposes. I'll start in the room. If we could start on my left, I guess. I don't know who's over there at the corner.
Kelly?
What am I?
Charlie Bowles.
Oh, Kelly Harrington. Hi.
Oh,
Kelly.
we going that way?
I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah, start with Kelly. Start with Kelly.
Okay,
I think
hi.
I can see Kelly. Yeah.
Amy Gibson.
Ellie White.
Susan Nicholson, Commissioner.
Patrick Raps.
Mandy Neat.
Charlie.
Rhea?
That's why I can't see them. Okay, so Bria. All right.
Yeah, I'm in the corner.
She's our amazing administrator, and she's making sure the Zoom meeting or the Google Meets meeting works well.
All right. We need to get that. All right. Online, let's go ahead and start on Zoom. My name is Mateo Rosales. I'm your chair or your advisory board chair? Let's go ahead and start with Ms. Jackson.
Good morning. My name is Judy Jackson. I'm an advisory board member.
All right. Who wants to go next? Luis.
Good morning, Christine Shipley, Vice Chair and representing Arizona Multi-Housing Association. Thank you.
Thank you. Luis.
Luis Ramirez, a member of the council.
All right. Dana.
Good morning. I'm Dana with Desert Sage Seminars.
All right. Thank you. Richard.
Matthias, if you're calling out Richard Jewell, he's having trouble hearing you. So,
Okay. Ms. Jones.
I'm Michelle Jones. I'm a real estate licensee down here in the town of Welton. And Richard, that is Mr. Richard Marsh. He's the town of Welton town manager.
All right. Thank you. Welcome. Let me see who my screen's shut off there, so I don't know if I'm Tim, I guess.
Yes, Tim Ander with the
Oh, we got two Tims. I'm sorry. Stratton.
Yeah, I'm Tim Stratton. I'm the town attorney for the town of Welton.
Okay. Timothy.
I'm Timothy Ander with the Department of Real Estate Licensing Division.
All right. Am I missing anyone?
Yeah, this is Matt Cody.
Matt, go ahead.
I'm with Cache Homes and a Department of Real Estate board member.
All right. Thank you. And I think that's everyone on Zoom, and the rest of it's RIA staff. Let me know if I'm missing anyone there. All right. Let's go ahead and get item number 2. Prior meeting minutes available at the ADRE YouTube channel. The link is available on the website's agenda or today's agenda. So if anyone wants to see any of the past meetings or today's meetings, it is broadcasted and recorded on YouTube for your review and records. Item number 3, advisory board member reports. Let's go ahead and get started. Kelly, I'll let you go ahead and start
Okay.
calling out in order.
I don't have too much to report in my world right now. Real estate's been kind of quiet over the last year. You guys might see the same thing. Buyers are still timid, wanting to wait, getting more phone calls. So I think things are sort of maybe picking up, hopefully. But yeah, it's just been a little quiet. The only other things that I've got is you guys have probably heard, but there's been some grumblings of different MLSs collaborating lately. So kind of joining forces, not merging, but just joining together to create where now the realtors will have access to all areas of Arizona instead of just their specific little MLS area. So I know that's in the works. Other than that, I mean, it's been just kind of nothing really new. Still fighting over the buyer broker stuff with certain buyers. They don't like to sign that silly thing when we show houses, but getting through it. So that's about it. And that on my side. So.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. It is getting a little bit less painful as people get adjusted to that in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All
Amy
right.
Gibson. Amy Gibson has nothing to report this quarter.
I guess.
Hey, Ellie White has a few little things. We're still having major problems in the Sun Cities with people knocking on the doors of 95-year-old people selling them 30-year solar loans, and then they're dying. It's not stopping. It seems to be even more prolific now than it has been of late, or maybe I'm just hearing more about it. I don't know what we can do. I don't know that we can do. I know this has been an ongoing problem, but I think we've still got to keep it in our ear to know that nothing's changing. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I had brought to this committee a couple of months back about a realtor who's also a GC who's having issues where she's coming up against realtors who are GCing their own remodels and they're not actually GCs. That group now wants to bring to the department a team of people that includes homeowners who have been aggrieved by this process. They would like the department to have a representative. They would like the department to bring in an ROC representative. And there are about 4 realtor GCs who also want to be present. I told them I didn't know if we could even get that to pass, but I would bring it up at this meeting because I felt there were enough heads in this room who could prevail and say, we can do this, we can't do this, or we just walk away from it. But right now I've got the names of 4 individuals who have been aggrieved by really shoddy workmanship by licensed realtors.
Yes,
So-
we're always happy to meet with them, so we'll just get something on the front.
Okay, sounds perfect. And other than that, just the same noise that Kelly's hearing. I'm working with a client now who she was broker in California for 40 years and things aren't like this in California. We don't have to do by a broker. And so education and so many agents just aren't sharing that noise. So just keeping it live.
I've seen the same thing about the solar. A lot of people, when I get ready to list their homes, they either don't realize what kind of agreement they signed. Was it a lease? Was it a own? And a lot of them right now have to pay off the loan before they can even, or when at closing.
Right.
And that cuts into
Profit.
And so it is a big problem that they don't understand what they're getting into.
Kind of like student loans.
Yeah, because a lot of them are due upon the sale.
Yeah.
You can't transfer them.
All right.
You know, and it's a big chunk of money. Like one of my clients, it was $19,000. Another one right now I'm getting ready to list, and they know these couple, they know it at least, but they are going to have to pay $11,000 to pay off theirs, you know, and so it really, yeah, they just, they think that they're getting into this great deal and they don't understand.
I think there's also a slight separation in solar lease descriptions. The client looked at a house that no solar was listed in the MLS, 0 zilch, that no docs were there. And when we went to get the approval for the showing through aligned, it came back with notes from the listing agent that there was a Tesla solar lease to plug in a Tesla car. But they're using solar to plug in the Tesla car. So it's not powering the whole house. So we're not telling you about it in the MLS, but it was a $19,000 lien. Somewhere along the line it would come out in the wash, but people are separating it because it only powers your car.
Huh. Interesting.
So just another little knowledge.
And the interesting industry, and we hearing that all throughout the state. You know, different levels of complaints and hopefully regulation to be brought up to the solar industry. So, got to make sure we reach out to our representatives for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Anything else to add to your report?
Nope, that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Who's there? I'm sorry, my screen is so small.
Me?
Go ahead.
That'll be me. To tag on to the solar just a little bit, just as far as education. There are a lot of folks that are not realizing that it's taking time to get clear title on these things because some of the solar companies have transferred so many times and they have non-compatible internal policies with the way they were set up in the first place. And it can drag out a transaction. is the real issue there. And another one that I'm seeing around that agents should be aware of is insurance is becoming a looming major problem for properties. I have a current transaction I'm involved in. I'm seeing we cannot get insurance on the property for any reasonable amount. We're talking a $300,000 purchase, and it's $3,000 a year for insurance. That's 1/4, almost 1/4 of the borrower's entire payment. And it's causing them not to qualify. So it's starting to escalate in that, and I'm seeing more cancellations around with people I know, especially in northern areas where there's trees. There are major companies that are starting to just cancel outright policies, and people are left holding the bag. They either get stuck with forced place insurance or larger policies with they have to search to find someone, and it's becoming difficult.
All right.
That's all I've got.
All right. Thank you. Who's there in person? Charlie?
Yeah, the insurance is becoming a major issue for all of us who own a number of rentals also. So, and people trying to qualify, as you just indicated, Patrick. So, and then the other thing is the solar is just really an issue that they don't, it's typical of salespeople that don't give all the information and disclose everything of the clients. Is, oh, this is great. I save $400 a month in my utilities. Where do I sign? Well, you gotta ask a lot of questions or learn to do that. But the other thing that I'm seeing is the cancellations on new home purchases are going up before they get to the closing. Houses under construction, and something happens, they lose their job. Is a big issue these days. And so the builders are a little skittish on buying more of my land that I have for sale. But that's nothing from individuals complaining about agents or any of that. So,
all right. Thank you, Charlie. Is there anyone there in person that I missed before I go on to Zoom reports? No? All right. Let's go to Ms. Jackson.
Hello, I don't have a report to give, but I just would like to get some clarification on the fingerprint issue that has popped up again, so I can relay this information to my members. And I don't know if you guys are going to cover that under the Arizona Department of Real Estate reports, but if I can get an update or clarification on that, please.
All right, Ms. Jackson, thank you. I was going to bring that up as well, so thank you. Who else do we have online for advisory board members? Mr. Ramirez.
Mr. Chairman, good morning to all, and I apologize I couldn't be there in person. Two items. One is really more of a question. I think that what I'll lump into the rooftop solar, you know, I don't know, Commissioner, if there is an action item that we can develop from this, a study group to look into this. You know, if, you know, as I'm hearing that is in slowing down the transaction process, is there something we can do on disclosures? One for acquiring the rooftop solar and the impact to the property, and secondly, the transferability of that. To me, it's a question. The second question that I have is really more of a pet peeve. I currently have a property that is for sale, and I had a broker schedule a site visit, but it turned out that the site visit was because that broker was going to be listing the unit directly in front of mine, and I you know, it's fair game. I understand that, but is there? I mean, ethically, they were just scouting the competition to see what is, you know, what they're going to list it at, literally across from mine. I know it's not illegal to do that, but can they do that more in an open house situation rather than scheduling a visit? Or can they disclose that they're just a broker checking it out? They have no intention of buying it. Just curious as to what the procedures are for that.
All right. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I
Go ahead,
always,
Charlie.
excuse me, I always ask a question about their buyer and are they qualified, et cetera, et cetera.
Agreed, and lesson learned. But I think the broker should disclose that. It shouldn't be shouldn't have to be a question. Do you have a buyer? If you're scheduling a home visit
On an occupied property, especially.
on an occupied property, again, I don't want to get into more details. I'm just curious, should there be, hey, I'm just a broker checking it out because I'm listening to one across, literally, just in front of you. Just curious. It irked me more than anything. There's nothing I can do about it, nor do I want to, but
I think the
ethical
respectful thing
requirements
I thought there was an MLS rule that said you had to be
You're
showing a
supposed to-
home
yeah.
for the purpose of
Well,
potentially selling it.
and disclose, because in Aligned, there are options.
Right.
It's for a first time showing of a buyer, second showing, virtual showing, like there are check boxes that you're.
An option still?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, and I've had agents call me before and just say, hey, I'm getting ready to list one in the same neighborhood. How's your activity been? Just feeling it out instead of actually going to do a showing. But yeah, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah, it's not current. Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who felt that way.
It's common courtesy.
Full disclosure, I would have been sure we'll figure it out, just come on in and check it out. But the lack of disclosure is what really irked me. And
Well, the unprofessionalism, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can report them though, can't you, if they do that?
I don't intend to report them. I'm not bringing it
He's
up.
just,
for
he's
that.
just
More of
venting
like,
right now.
really just,
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Ramirez? And I saw the.
well, I
commissioner-
actually, I always take time, Commissioner, you've heard me give the spiel before, so I apologize. But Mr. Chairman, we've had some tremendous news on the border, in our border communities, and I think they're worth highlighting for everyone. September 5th of this year, so 45 days ago or so. Well, now time flies, almost 2 months ago. We did the groundbreaking for the new port of entry in Douglas, Arizona, $328 million investment by the federal government, a brand new commercial facility for the inspection of trucks that are crossing between the U.S. and Mexico, and it's in a small corner of the state. It is and it's not just, and I wanted to highlight it because it's not just the port of entry itself, but we're putting in an entire utilities corridor: water, wastewater, electric, natural gas, fiber, brand new roads being built. Thank you, ADOT, for that partnership with the city of Douglas and Cochise County. But it's a utility corridor that is opening up, hundreds, if not thousands of acres for development. And there's a particular urgent need in all of our border communities for housing.
Right.
We have, federal agencies are bringing in, or they will have, 300, 400, 500 employees that are making good money. They can afford, to rent that single unit or maybe even multifamily. And there's a tremendous challenge for Douglas, Nogales, and in some cases even San Luis to find enough housing. So I think I put that out there as an area of opportunity for investment. The second thing, and I'm stealing a little bit of thunder from the chairman, San Luis is about to host the ribbon cutting for the new northbound operations at the San Luis One Port of Entry, the downtown crossing. This is for cars, people, buses. That's a $56 million project. These are huge catalysts for economic development in the community. And I just do want to highlight that the city of San Luis, the chairman, former member of council, was very much involved in getting projects of this magnitude to happen. And for communities like San Luis, population 40,000, Douglas, population 15,800, 16,000 people. These are game changers for these communities. And I'm just really happy to see that this is happening. So much of the focus is, and rightfully so, our major metropolitan areas. But there are 13 rural counties in Arizona, and I work extensively with the border counties. And so we're happy to see these types of investments or keystone projects. At some point in time, if anybody of the members of the council and you, a commissioner, would love to see you down on the border, seeing these projects that are huge magnets and catalysts for additional investments. So Mr. Chairman, I apologize for taking so much time, but you know the problem when they give me the microphone, I tend to leverage it. So I
Mr.
thank you
Jones.
for the opportunity.
I'm gonna call you Mr. Tony Reyes there. No, just kidding.
Ooh, for those in the Yuma area, you'll know that was not very nice.
But Luis brings great points there. The development that these projects bring not only to the border communities but the border region are huge. I mean, San Luis with that $360 million investment, real estate market in regards to rentals, for the past 3 years have been occupied by the people working at the port of entries, building these new ports, Airbnbs, coming in, from California, from other parts of the state, and you see the economic impact that it does at our restaurants and everything. So for the people around, Nogales, Douglas, that's an opportunity, and keep an eye as a ADRE in regards to, hopefully continue to keep up the speedy subdivision and reports and everything, which they've done a great job. The department's been keeping up with that, so no complaints I've heard of from anyone. So yeah, thank you for that, Luis. Online, we still have Matt Cody.
Yeah, as the home builder representative, I don't really get a lot of contact, and many of the earlier conversations we don't, really get much conversation on that. What I can tell you is the market, while everybody's making progress, is, I would say, choppy, and home builders are really trying very hard to cut back on incentives, because that seems to be the real key to making sales these days. And so I know they're all struggling. I think Lennar recently announced that 13% of their sales price was used for incentives. So it's kind of kept everybody challenged, and most of that's for mortgage money and what have you. So otherwise, very, very quiet on our end.
All right, thank you. Who else do we have online? Christine?
Yes, good morning. I had nothing additional to report.
All right, thank you. Am I missing anyone online for reports? Ria, do I have everybody?
Yes, you do.
All right, thank you. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and move on over to our staff reports from the Arizona Department of Real Estate and hand it over to you guys for reports.
Thank you so much. I would love to take the first opportunity to go ahead and address items from the advisory board. So I think all of you heard me say on record, happy to meet with any homeowners who feels they've been harmed by real estate licensees, and also happy to work to coordinate with the registrar of contractors to get an appropriate representative there. So we can absolutely do that. With regard to solar and solar loans, that is outside of my wheelhouse. So it's something that I can certainly bring up to the Department of Financial Institutions and try to be a bridge for any type of work group or anything. When you get into, though, the realm of how that is being disclosed on a particular real estate sale, now you're getting into my court that I get to play with, right? So, so we're very interested in that, but you have to report. That's at the end of the day, if someone is not advertising in a way and putting out those material facts that would adversely affect how much somebody would be willing to spend on a property, then if you let us know about that, we can take disciplinary action against those licensees. So, but first it takes somebody actually turning them into the department, because we otherwise don't know. I am more than happy, Patrick, again, to reach out to the Department of Insurance. The state is well aware that rising insurance costs is not good for Arizonans. The entire purpose of us putting Firewise as a required course is to educate people about how to create defensible spaces and basically lower the incidence of property damage, which over the long haul, if people create those defensible spaces, we have less structures burned down, we have less insurance carriers raising costs and pulling out of the state of Arizona for coverage. And so there was discussions a couple of years ago, so I want to say maybe 23 or early 24, that the Department of Insurance was looking at creating some sort of tool that potentially the real estate industry could access and loan officers could access to sort of say, we know in this geographic area, these are the people that are offering insurance, so that if you do have a deal that becomes wobbly, you would have a resource available to you to say, okay, I understand XYZ pulled out, but here's the list according to the Department of Insurance. So I will do a follow-up on that with the director over at the Department of Insurance.
It's just the getting early in the transaction was my focus is finding out early so it doesn't make the transaction fall apart.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
cost.
Yeah, that's definitely licensee's guidance, right? Like, and and loan officer guidance, like check the insurance box early. And thank you, Charlie, for reaffirming insurance solar are definitely a thing. And I hate to hear that people are trying to acquire real estate and having to cancel those transactions due to loss of job. We're in uncharted waters here. It's longest federal shutdown ever. Okay, rooftop solar. Is there anything we can do on disclosures and transferability from Luis? Disclosures, yes, we can certainly look at that. It would probably be best to work with the industry as they already have disclosures that are out there. There is, I believe, a whole document to be filled out when there is solar. There was when I was practicing, so I think that's still there.
Yeah.
If that's not sufficient, if that's not getting the job done, I know it's kind of knowing early, right? Though, so it is that if you don't put it into the MLS, are you misrepresenting? Are you withholding a material fact? And so, again, it would take somebody turning something into us that feels that they've, been harmed or that that's wrong. And then we could open an investigation and see how our title and chapter would apply to that specific case. But there's just too many variables to kind of speak broadly. Transferability, I think, is a huge thing. The discovery that a real estate licensee needs to do at really the point of listing before you actively go out is there. That would fall under competence and working within the scope of your licensing. So again, I would say if a deal fell apart, if there were harm that were caused by that, it would take somebody filing a complaint, and we could look at it and we could say, okay, how did you not know that you needed to get this, and this? Because that is material to this sale. And, and if you didn't know, then should you have been selling a property with, rooftop solar? So, Luis, there are things that we can do. It would take somebody filing a complaint. And we can certainly, though, put out, I think, an educational piece. And I think this is another great opportunity to partner with the industry and pushing out some educational pieces of, I know Arizona Realtors has a fantastic checklist of things for brokers to look at, and checking off the boxes for advertising. Maybe we can create a similar listing checklist for solar, what you need to do up front and where you need to put that information. And Dana, thank you for that comment. Yes, we can incorporate those best practices into our mandatory solar classes. And then within 2 years, we'll know that we have cycled it through all licensees. So yes, to all of that. Showings, whether you're previewing or whether...
Before you leave that, a thought. Are there some courses or a course for new licensees that we could fit that into that agenda or renewal courses?
It would be renewal courses. There's not anything in a original licensure. I don't believe.
No, I agree with that,
Yeah.
but I'm just thinking if there was an agenda that might fit something like that, new information.
Yeah. We can definitely look at it. Now is the time, so we can definitely look at that.
And then,
We did incorporate much utility resources and the new pre-licensing education for people to at least understand the resource, which is very important to find those UCC filings.
Okay, right.
So we do have some touch bases in the new pre-licensing education, and also in the pre-licensing education, it discusses competency and where you need to be on certain topics, that you have to up your education. I don't think every licensee in the state of Arizona wants to learn about solar. Great, they can refer it out, they can pair up with somebody, but at least they'll learn that now in pre-licensing, that is an area of competence and who regulates those areas. And Liz has her hand up, Susan.
Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody that in 13, 14, 15, that 3-year period, there were 2 major pieces of legislation that were passed having to do with solar disclosures, what the companies had to provide. The problem is that the only person who can get that information is the person who contracts with that solar company, whether it's a loan or a lease, which means when you go to a listing, that's got to be something that you ask about and just be prepared, because it was taking me 6 months in 2015 to get to the point where I could list a property. God forbid if the company went BK and was gone. That's called adjudication of the issue, which means your owner's going to court to figure out what's going on. That's more than 6 months. And then if you had the multiple mergers and acquisitions, which were already ramping up in 2015, 16, then you had the layers, as someone had alluded to, the layers of what's really correct now. But there's nothing a licensee can do. You have to have an active client, and they have to be doing this 6 months at least in advance, because what you want to know when you walk in is all this information. And sometimes you do things like say, I'm really sorry, but right now you do not have a marketable property until you find out this information or go to adjudication. I got nothing for you. So just work on that project and then check in with, I used to check in every 60 days with those people to find out where they were in their process. Was it frustrating? Yes. Was there anything I could do? Absolutely not. So it's just a reality of people who sign those things.
We need better laws. So, maybe that's something that the industry's advocacy arm could, sort of take on, because I think the challenges are really, really crystal clear, but we don't have the statutory law that, can smooth out those ripples right now. So I think there's, huge opportunity in this kind of coming up and being amplified by multiple members of the advisory board. So I would hope that's something that, we would see and we would get behind, because it's awful. I get it, I get it. So the bankruptcies, the mergers, the acquisitions, not getting the information, the properties encumbered, understand all of it. With regard to the showings, if somebody were to say, I'm showing a buyer and they were just doing a preview, we would take issue with that as dealing fairly with the public, and that would be a violation of Arizona Administrative Code. But other than someone lying about the premise that they're entering a house on, it would really probably not fall within our jurisdiction of something that we could do. So that could be something that is more on the controls of the showing service or the lockbox and those private agreements between licensees, or it would, require a law change that would give me some sort of enforceability for you must disclose why you are going into somebody's home. Is it, this or is it that? So that's where that one is. Visit to the border town to see the economic development. Yeah, I would love to. Let's set something up, Luis. I would love to come down and see and come back to the Capitol and amplify that. All right, the last one. Field trip. We all come. Okay, so let's see. Fingerprint clearance cards. This one's been so rocky, but here we have it. Licensees have access into people's homes. They have access to keys. They can make copies of keys. They have access to families. Currently, the Department of Real Estate has less than 1,700 licensees that have a valid fingerprint clearance card on file with the department. So what's the difference? A fingerprint card is what used to be required in law. And that was somebody's inky fingers on a piece of cardboard. And that went into a background check, and it was a snapshot. At this moment in time and in the history, you have not been a horrible, heinous person that shouldn't have a real estate license and shouldn't go into people's homes. And you were issued a license, but there's no monitoring. We rely on a self-reporting system of disciplinary action disclosures at the time of renewal. And 1,700 licensees represents less than 2% of the Department of Real Estate's licenses. So we have less than 2% who are basically newly licensed within the last 6 years that are monitored by the Department of Public Safety right now. I have been commissioner since February of 2023. In that time, we have had to take action on March 21st from a DPS notice where a fingerprint clearance card suspension due to the arrest for felony sexual child abuse. On September 3rd of 2024, we received a letter from the clerk of the court, which was very abnormal. I think it's the only one that's happened since I've been commissioner. This person did not self-report, and they were a felony conviction for child sex trafficking. On June 16th of 2025, we received a DPS notice and we issued they had a fingerprint card suspension due to an arrest on 10 counts of felony sexual assault on a minor.
Unbelievable.
On July 2nd of 2025, DPS sent us a notice for a fingerprint clearance card suspension due to the arrest for felony unlawful viewing and distribution of images involving domestic violence. On April 23rd of 2025, there was a fingerprint clearance card due to the arrest for a felony molestation, assault, and felony exploitation of a minor. And there's one more that cut off of the page. My print went off too big, but it was a felony conviction for luring a minor into a sexual assault. So that's why it's important, because we're monitoring 2% and none of those people self-reported. So then we have the laws, right? Because no matter how passionate I am for protecting the public, I'm limited by my statutory authority and sometimes limited by the precedent that has been set before I became commissioner. So Arizona Revised Statute 32-2108 C2 reads under powers and duties of the commissioner. The commissioner may require any reasonably necessary information about an applicant for or holder of a license or renewal or amendment of a license or public report. And then it talks about for the purposes, and it says the information may include a valid fingerprint clearance card. There's the statutory authority. It says that I may do it, but there were years and years and years of licensees being grandfathered in, and they weren't required to, so there was this precedent that was set. So I sought to clarify it in rule during the department's 5-year rule review. I don't know how many meetings we have had with this board where I've said, our draft rules are out there, please read it, please give us feedback. So one of those changes that was out there at least since November of 2024 was Arizona Administrative Code R428301A3, where it says any applicant for an original or renewal license shall submit a valid fingerprint clearance card. That's not a direct quote, that's paraphrasing, but that's what it did. Because I want it to be crystal clear in the new administrative code that's going to be published that I am exercising my statutory authority where it says that I may require a fingerprint clearance card. I want there to be consistency across this industry from this point forward that we will require a fingerprint clearance card for all real estate licensees because our job is to protect the public. And I'm happy to take any questions on that.
So that was in November that you put that through?
It was in November that we published it out.
A year ago?
Yeah, in 2024 for
Okay.
public comment.
Great.
And we had no less than 2 or 3 public comments from that period. On October 7th, we were successful and the department's 5-year rule review was unanimously approved by the Governor's Regulatory Review Council. Those have been transmitted to the Secretary of State for publication in the registry. We have not yet been published. And so as soon as that publication starts, the you must, not the commissioner may, but the you must part would become effective. We're anticipating the middle of January right now for the you must part of the administration.
I would say thank you, Susan, for making that happen.
Absolutely.
The report that you gave is disheartening.
It's a privilege to have this license.
That's right.
It's full price to pay. So thank you.
That's,
Commissioner?
Yes.
Just a point of information for me. Once you submit the card with the fingerprints, what happens to that information? How do you store it? Is it digitized? Can you walk me through that?
It's not held by the Department of Real Estate. So the fingerprint clearance
ADRE.
card is held by the Department of Public Safety, and it's under Title 41 in statutory law, their fingerprint clearance card system, and it's monitored by the Department of Public Safety. There's an electronic tie to the occupational license that a person holds in the state of Arizona. So if there is an arrest for these things, and there's statutory laws about what types of arrests and what types of suspension I must take action on. And I just read them basically. And, but we do not at the Department of Real Estate house any of that information. What we house is the licensee's name and their fingerprint clearance card number and whether or not it's a valid, active one or not.
So when would this go into effect?
Oh, well, I wish, given public safety, that I could just say now. But I have 3 people in licensing. It's a manual process. And so in April of 2024, we started a coding project that would make it less manual for the Department of Real Estate, where a licensee can upload their fingerprint clearance card themselves and enter some information. There's still an area that's very manual in the processing of these. We've run reports and we learned that there were thousands and thousands of people that, would need to renew by January 30th that need to have a fingerprint clearance card on file. And quite frankly, it will shut down the real estate industry if I hard enforce this change right now. We don't have the human resources and the technology right now to just flip the proverbial switch. It's not, it's coding, but I can't turn it on because what would result would be licenses would expire. People are in the middle of their transactions. And now there's a 2-week period where there's an expired license, the broker's having to cover for the transactions. It would be chaos and also harmful to the people of Arizona and this industry. And so what we are embarking on is probably a 14-month rollout plan. Our system, if you log into a licensee's portal, will now alert you if your card is active or your card is expired or you don't have a card. And you're not prohibited from renewing your license at this time, but we are seeing an increase and a smooth trickle in that is manageable for us to be able to process those fingerprint clearance cards. And every month we are continuing to run the numbers to see if there's a point where we can then switch it to the 90-day, 60-day, 30-day notification period. So that would look like 90 days from when you need to renew a license. It takes about 2 weeks right now to get your fingerprint clearance card. You and your broker will get an email from the department saying, your renewal is coming up. You do not have this. You need to have this in order to renew. Please do not delay in getting it because you will not be allowed to renew without it. So there'll be a 90-day notice like that, a 60-day notice like that, and a 30-day notice like that. But we do have to get it to a point where it's manageable that if the department receives your fingerprint clearance card, we can process that in a timely fashion without disrupting your business. And that's the juggle. We know we can do it by January of 2027 because we'll have new IT in place that will have an API with the Department of Public Safety and take out a significant amount of time of the manual processing. So I am hopeful that through our best efforts and working with our brokerage community and thank you, Dana, and working with the industry as a whole and the alerts that are set up. So when people enter their CE certificates, they're seeing, oh, I need to go get a fingerprint clearance card. that we can get the numbers down and we can get this safety net for the public put into place sooner rather than later. I hope for as soon as possible, but I have to be realist with the resources available to the department.
Madam Commissioner, if I may, there also seems to be a little bit of lack of understanding in that when you apply for that card, there's a whole list of your questions. Real estate's near the bottom. A lot of people are thinking, oh, I've got a CPS card. I foster children. I've got a concealed carry card. It's a level 1 fingerprint card. I can use that.
Yeah.
And you can't, because I checked with the deputy commissioner last year when this all came about. So there's a lot of either lack of understanding or information not necessarily available, but being read and absorbed. So somehow we need to clarify
that is why we created the, behind your login, your portal at the Department of Real Estate, you can see where you sit. So we just need to tell everybody, log in, because it's going to tell you what you have on file with the Department of Real Estate. And nothing, again, is being prohibited right now from renewal, but it is of the utmost importance to me. I think
of the whole department.
I would not be able to live with myself knowing that I didn't do everything that I could, given what I know has already happened that we caught in such a tiny bit of the population. And if somebody were hurt this way and that person shouldn't have had a license.
Right.
Right. That weighs on me because the way the statute reads is that I can. And I am.
Commissioner, I thank you because that is an important safety for our public, but I agree. I'm glad the way you're explaining it because there's a lot of confusion in the industry. A lot of people are thinking that they've heard that it has to be done now and you have so many time, but like anything else, and I'm glad you're saying this out loud in public, it's a transition system that we need to be able to inform the licensees, inform the brokerages, the industry, and work together to get to 100% fingerprint cards on all licensees. But the industry has been hearing otherwise that, starting next month and so forth. So we need to educate and work together to get that out and hopefully be able to get this done faster and the soonest as possible to be able to get everybody 100% vetted. So
and Matthias, so you know, yesterday, CEO Scott Drucker of Arizona Realtors reached out to me on email about fingerprint clearance cards. And I replied back, here's the law, here's what it says, this is what we're doing. And, but I did invite Arizona Realtors to work with me on the rollout plan. Let's work together on messaging. Let's work together. Let's have this be an industry win because we should all stand for the safety of people in real estate transactions. That's not bipartisan. That's not, department versus industry. That's something I think 100%. If you don't want it, then there's a big why, right?
No, yeah, correct. But the rollout plan right there is the important part to avoid that confusion.
To work with, my intention is to really want to work with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have just a question for clarification because I'm one of those that hasn't renewed mine. Okay. Do you have to actually go and get re-fingerprinted, right? And then do that whole process? Okay, because I have multiple cards too for various things. So I'm like,
Just another one.
Yeah.
Maybe or maybe not. It depends on the Department of Public Safety. So if you log in and you just say you need it for occupation, another occupation, they may I'm not sure how they handle it, completely different department. My card was expired. And even though my license is like on ice somewhere buried in the depths of realm, and I'm not allowed to use it, I still got my, hey, it's going to expire. You have to do something to keep it going. I went and got my fingerprint clearance card updated because no one should be above this, right? This is for everybody.
I have 3 cards and none of them crossed over.
Yeah.
So, and I have friends who do foster care. Their card didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
It's very specific to a Title I card. And when you register for that Title I card, you do need to select real estate. We will be working with DPS on how to verify that information was selected properly. But at least knowing the Title I card is valid and having that ability in our system to see that, it does give a sight of, okay, this one's suspended, this one's valid. And we can see that in DPS's site. But you should just contact them. You might already have a Title I card, Kelly, and you just need to add the occupation. And again, everybody should need, if you want this done efficiently, efficiently, you need to create a login at azdps.gov. And through your login, you will set an appointment. Like I went to the UPS store up the road and I paid through the portal. I had notification within 3 business days that my card was approved and being mailed to me. So when you use that system, it seems to go a lot faster than if you go in and then submit manually. So
That's good to know. 'Cause,
please
yeah, my
reach that.
husband did it when he got his license. It's been like 3 years now, but it took him like 2 weeks to get notification that the first time of getting them, they didn't run properly. Yeah. So they had to reschedule it, go back, get it, and then wait for the, so that's a good idea for, and
Because if everybody waits until next January,
yeah,
that 2 weeks is going to be 3 months.
Which is why we want to notify people now as well, is because we don't want people to say, well, I forgot. I mean, I know the people on this call today and in this meeting they're planners, they get their stuff done timely, but the majority of our licensees are calling us the day before they're going to expire, asking for some magical extension that's not allowed in law. And we can't, so I really don't want to see that happen to them on their fingerprint clearance card.
And I think it's important too, the educational piece is to work with, like you said, AR, and then also I think our local associations and have everyone collaborate to make sure everyone's on the same page about getting the message across.
There are apparently mobile people, like, local associations, states that they could have events where, you need it, like come here and get it, because I know there was a brokerage or a title company or somebody that did it.
Yeah.
And we took our.
That's a great idea.
So,
yeah.
So, I think it's something I would love to work with the industry. But this is one of those things that I can't in good conscience waiver on that.
Not after what you read.
Correct.
It's really disturbing the things
I don't think any of us would feel any different, Susan.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Is that all from you, Commissioner, in regards to your report?
That's it. That's all I have.
All right. Who else do we have with a report from staff? Mandy, Deputy Commissioners?
Oh, I am just really busy. We've been really busy. You called out public record. I'm not public record, but public reports. Tim's on this call today. Tim heads that. I want to let you guys know they do hundreds a quarter. They meaning Jay and Tim, they receive all the information from developers. They verify the information's factual and meets our requirements. They send it to Commissioner for signature. She re-reviews everything and signs it. And they're very, very efficient. So I just want to say thank you, Matthias, for the call out for our public reports, because that's one area that is not really thought about the Department of Real Estate, other than a few people think about it on a regular, and it's a very hard part of our job, and thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other reports from staff? All right. And you did touch base a little bit, Commissioner, on the IT that's in work in progress. Hopefully next year it'll be once funding and built up. So thank you for that update. At this time, I'll go ahead and open it up to the public. I think we have people from the public in person and on Zoom.
Yeah,
and just a reminder, I'm sorry?
Oh, the town of Wellington's here.
Welton, yeah. So we do have people from the public. So it's just a reminder, this is a time for public comments. Staff will be able to take notes and provide direction after the meeting. Right now, it's a time just for public input. And is there anyone in person, first of all, that would like to speak in public remarks?
We only
Nope.
have Aaron.
Sorry, Aaron, we only have one.
So
All right.
one question. We did have a member reach out asking about, there was like a rumor about teams being needed to register at the department. Is that true?
So part of the rule changes are that teams will need, if they are conducting real estate activity, so they're doing licensed activity under a name that is not either the entity that employs them, the employing broker's name, or their name as it appears on a license, they will need to register their team name as a DBA. So that was one of the things that was occurring in there. Reason for it is we received complaints and they're like, such and such, group is the broker. And we're like, who's that? There's no record of such and such group at the brokerage. So yes, so that's part of the 5-year rule review changes. And again, won't take effect until mid-January. And again, we will roll out smoothly again and get as much communication out through our brokerages. Actually, what I printed off is a broker presentation. So part of the rollout plan is to start reaching out to our biggest brokers first, having different Google Meets, going through all of the 50+ changes in the administrative code that impact this industry, talking through how they need to help us and be good partners and help protect the agents. And so we've met several times. Leadership here has met several times to talk about how to roll out so many changes that take effect, but we're committed to doing it in a way that's collaborative with this industry. So we'll continue on with that. But yes, that's one of the 50+ that are out there. We'll start to record under the doing business as. How are you doing business as? Are you doing business as under this brokerage, this team, and your name? We need to know that other name.
Which is separate from compensation. It's a whole separate area than compensation. So you're not going to be able to be paid through a team name. It's still very specific to if you're not a designated broker. The designated broker or employing broker can only pay you through your PLLC or PC if it's on your license, or your legal name as your license. So this is just simply a searchable field for the public to find people, because right now they're not finding people under their team names, and we are holding them accountable under 502C and rule, which is misrepresentation to the public. But at the end of the day, like, can we just solve it?
All right. Thank you. I thank you for that question, Erin. Yeah, because I do know some franchises, for example, don't allow their teams to use the word group and their team name and stuff, like, to avoid that type of confusion. So it'll be beautiful. It'll be nice once at the ADRE level, at the state level, we have kind of the similar requirement to be able to monitor that and regulate that a little bit more. Ms. Jackson?
So will everyone on the team have to register under their ADRE record, or just the lead person?
Everybody, anybody, if they are conducting licensed activity under some name that's not on their license, they need to get that name that they're doing things on their license. So it'll be everybody. Now, I mean, we'll work with you on how we receive the information. Eventually, I think we hope that that will be something, a licensee new system, right? The licensee can just go in and their portal and upload that and type it in themselves, kind of a thing. But we won't have the new system quite yet. So we'll, again, limited staffing, limited ability of current IT. We'll work with the industry.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else from the in person? That was it. So on Zoom, do we have anyone from the public? Please raise your hand. Okay, Ms. Michelle Jones.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the Advisory Board, and the Commissioner. My name is Michelle Jones, and I'm a licensed realtor who has proudly served the Welton and the greater Yuma County communities for over 12 years. My reputation has always been one of integrity, hard work, and a deep care for the people and the properties that I represent. I am also the mayor of the town of Welton. Why I am here today is because of a recent letter that was issued by the Department of Real Estate to a complainant, which was posted onto social media within hours of the complainant receiving it. The letter states, and I'm reading it from the letter that they posted on social media, and I'm only going to read the sentence that's in question. Sorry, I got to put a light on so I can see it. The department found that Ms. Jones failed to adequately disclose during a sales transaction at the property at 11742 Castle Dome in Welton that the area in which the property was located had failed to meet safe drinking water quality standards. As you can see by the way that the letter was written from the department, the public will and is interpreting this as a definite factual statement made by the Department of Real Estate, not an opinion or as a statement that was made by the complainant. It suggests that ADEQ has determined that Welton's water failed to meet safety standards and that me as a realtor should have disclosed that. When the town of Welton's lawyer reached out to the department emailed back. And what they said in the one section, the language in the second sentence of the first paragraph of the letter is specific to the allegations and the wording of the complainant and is not a statement by the department about the validity of the allegations. So, as you can see, by how the letter was written or being interpreted, it doesn't sound like it's being interpreted as that's what the complainant said, or
No.
however, it is literally the way it is worded to the complainant. It sounds like the Department of Real Estate is making that sign, that statement of the town of Walter having the town of Welton having unsafe drinking water. Based on the ADEQ's published data, the town of Welton's water system has not been declared unsafe to drink. The issue involves slightly elevated TTHM levels, 0.003 above the standard, which triggers compliance notices and treatment adjustments, not failed safety drinking water. The Department of Real Estate's words carry enormous weight for the public, and when they are misused, as they have been here, the consequences are deeply personal and professionally devastating, not only to me, but to the town of Welton community. Because of that misstatement, individuals with known political vendettas have used the department's letter to spread false narratives about me online to potential buyers and to the members of our community, and they will continue to do so. I respectfully request that the board review the policies and the procedures that led to this language being used without adequate verification. I also ask that a correction or clarification be made to the original parties and documented publicly to prevent further harm. I am not only here to defend my name, but to also ensure that no other licensee has to endure this kind of reputational damage based on the flawed or misuse of words within a document. I thank you for your time and your service and for hearing me today.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Anyone else from the public on Zoom? All right, hearing none.
No,
Oh,
sorry.
no.
I,
Go ahead.
sorry,
Stratton.
I didn't get off mute quickly enough.
Go
My
ahead.
name is Tim Stratton. Hi, my name is Tim Stratton. I'm the town attorney for the town of Welton, and I wanted to echo the comments made by Mayor Jones. This has been incredibly difficult for the town because the complainant, as Ms. Jones mentioned, has other political motives. They are using something that is on the state of Arizona letterhead now to spread panic and fear among the community as well. We've received a number of calls, and there have been a number of social media posts now questioning the safety of the drinking water, which again is outside the purview of the Real Estate Commission. I would only suggest that in the future, before something like this were to happen, it would have been much appreciated if there would have been a call or correspondence reaching out to the town and its officials. We have town staff, we have town manager Richard Marsh, who is doing a fantastic job of running the town, trying to bring in additional businesses, economic development, and actions such as this really negatively impact our ability to do that and call into question a critical item of public safety that has caused many of our residents unnecessary panic because the message that they're receiving from the town is consistent with what ADEQ has been requiring us to do in terms of notifying the public. The town has taken great expense, millions of dollars, loans from WIFA to improve the water situation in Welton, which has at no time been declared unsafe to drink. We've installed a new clarifier. We're making adjustments. And this type of, frankly, reckless accusation against the town was something that we just could not stand by and let go unchallenged. And so I would request, as has Mayor Jones, that we receive some sort of public retraction or explanation of what's going on here, because it really has the community up in arms. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Stratton. Anyone else from the public? All right, give it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds to be unmuted. Hearing none. All right, thank you everybody that came by and gave their comments, and everybody that's there in person and attended this meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for January 7th, 2026. So for those that celebrate holidays, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, happy New Year's. We'll see you guys January 7th, 2026, and meeting is adjourned.